Welcome back. If you are just joining, you are watching Daily Politics on Trust TV. Do well to follow us across all our social platforms on Facebook, Instagram, and watch us live on YouTube. And as you and I continue to cope with the current situation occasioned by the removal of the fuel subsidy, many have suggested a variety of suggestions which they feel will help Nigerians cope with this situation better. Suggestions or prescriptions like fixing the moribund refineries as a means to drive the price of petrol have on many occasions been mentioned. So tonight on the program, I have with me in the studio Dr. Mubarak Ibrahim Mahmoud. He's a maritime, port, oil and gas exploration expert with years of experience in the Gulf of Guinea, both in the public and private sectors. He's also the convener of the Conference on Supply Chain of National Competitiveness. Welcome to the program, Doctor.
Thank you very much.
We're happy having you in our studio.
Thank you very much.
Yes, of course. You saw the first part of our program, and I actually saw you not really happy while coming to the studio on the preparedness of Nigeria, ECOWAS countries, with the support of the superpowers. Is it to invade Niger or to go and restore constitutional order? What is your take on that, just briefly?
Thank you very much, Alhaji Hamza, for having me, and good evening to viewers. Good evening, Nigerians. Quite all right. I think your question is quite a very big one.
Yeah.
Today, I think the essence of living is to genuinely have peace globally. And I think we have all believed that, forceful application of force to grab power is no longer the fashionable approach.
So invariably, you are talking about peace.
Peace, essentially, whether from the side of the coupists, who perhaps have decided to unilaterally on their own go after, taking power unlawfully, unconstitutionally, because we all believed that Niger Republic is a sovereign state that is governed under I think, presidential democracy as well. So, and they do have a constitution that guides their, internal matters and internal affairs. So, should there be any, perhaps, thing the president had done, they should equally, rely on their constituted authorities that are constitutionally empowered to possibly checkmate some of the actions.
And the structures are there.
Exactly. So perhaps then we come to see suddenly just that we had that the president of Niger have been, toppled, and a military junta eventually present itself. So I think peace is critical. And from the perspective of ECOWAS, I think the only takeaway from ECOWAS body language and standpoint is that such an act will not be acceptable and will not be tolerated. But however, I think essentially we need to come to understand that coercive power, is required when you want to reverse an unlawful act. But again, you need to put the card of diplomacy on the table. And there are so many cards that
can be deployed,
available to ECOWAS to find a way, just like the commander-in-chief of the armed forces of the Federal Republic of Nigeria have rightly said that they are putting out and will make sure that all diplomatic avenues are adequately exhausted. So, however, I still strongly believe that convincing the military junta in Niger Republic is quite critical, and Nigeria, because our own commander-in-chief is playing two roles here.
Yes.
You see, as the president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, there is that obligation to secure the territorial borders.
Yes, of this country.
Joins us with this country that is facing this unstable political, situation.
Yeah.
Should there be an eruption, and a crack in the social order?
Yeah.
Because as far as we understand, from a sociological standpoint, Niger Republic is not a country at equilibrium.
Yeah, yeah. So now maybe I will now move into our subject of discussion today. We share the border. Niger, they also have their oil. Nigeria has its own, even though the bond of contention, what people are really putting around Niger is uranium. In what way should this economic imbalance of sorts will have adverse effect on Nigeria?
Okay. This can come from different perspectives.
Yeah.
Issue of economy and relying on your primary sector of your economy is no longer fashionable. It is only in Africa today that countries are being measured based on the primary sector of their economy.
Wow, elsewhere it's not the same.
You see, the global benchmark currently used in measuring, the economic viability of countries have grown beyond the primary sector of their economy. Raw material is usually the primary sector of an economy. Manufacturing is actually the secondary sector of an economy. Then the tertiary sector of an economy is its service industry.
Wow.
Then the quaternary sector, which is where the global economy are playing today, is the knowledge sector. So when we come to look at it, we have four different layers here. The primary sector, the secondary sector,
the tertiary
sector, and the quaternary sector. So where is Niger Republic in its primary sector? Does even Niger Republic have the know-how to even extract its primary sector? Does the Niger Republic have the know-how to utilize its primary sector? Should we decide to hinge our entire focus on uranium? Does Niger Republic have the capability to translate what its uranium can give to it into wealth? So I think you can even come to agree with me that we've not even started yet.
Yeah, we have a very long way to go.
For Niger Republic. So now, when you now come into the secondary sector of Niger Republic, which is the manufacturing, where are they?
So invariably, Nigeria has a big role to play in solving these problems. So let's now face ours. Of course, your area is maritime, port, oil and gas. Let's start with oil. And you've been in the, Guinea, right, for a very long time. We are Gulf of Guinea. Why is it that Nigeria cannot get it right in protecting its waters? Because that is where a large chunk of our oil is being, that channel is where they used to steal our oil and all that.
Okay, thank you very much again, Alhaji Hamza. I think everybody in the world today knows that Nigeria is the oil country of Africa. And
even though Angola, they are now lifting more than us because we are unable to address our problem.
Notwithstanding, that does not in any way still equate Angola to what Nigeria has accomplished in the oil and gas industry. The oil majors, I think the investment in assets they've had in Nigeria far surpasses what they have in Angola today.
All right.
But you see, if Angola is able to remove an extra amount of crude oil for export to international markets, perhaps maybe means that their internal workings are at equilibrium. So now, what is making Nigeria's own industry not to be at equilibrium to that level that instead of it producing more than what it used to, but rather declining? The reasons are out there for everybody to...
Okay, please, let's know them. Yeah.
Okay, very good. So now, number one, I would like us to go through a very simple and short journey.
Yeah.
We started in 1955, onshore. By 1985, 1995, gradually investment into the offshore sector of the oil and gas had happened. So gradually the IOCs moved most of their exploratory operations from the onshore into the offshore deep water.
Okay.
So there are reasons that motivated some of this: optimization of production of this crude oil, security of operations. It's a major criteria that informed the decision to go deep into the Gulf.
Okay.
Very good. The Delta Gulf.
Yes.
So now, but again, you see, when there have been a lot of infractions,
yes,
running away from the trouble will not solve the trouble. But we have to sit down and face the trouble, even if the trouble is a lion, and let's kill the lion before we now move away to the next stage. So, and I think that paints the entire story of what happened in the Niger Delta. And that was why we later came to see the agitation in the Niger Delta. We later came to see a lot of environmental issues that Nigeria had to go out to the international, arena to seek for, support in order to deal with some of these environmental infractions. But you see, I always look at problems from from an outcome-based perspective.
Okay.
We're looking at solution here. We shouldn't quite all right focus on blaming or trading blames. No, we need to focus on solution. Most of these assets, because part of the sources of environmental abuse is the crude oil theft. This theft is done through abusing the infrastructure, the assets that had been in place for over 3 decades or 4 decades. So what were the strategic decommissioning master plan that this whole, operators have provided the government of Nigeria with? Should those assets attain their utilization threshold, right? What will happen to the restoration of the environment where those operations have taken place? So this was not in place significantly. So again, by that, you see, most of the communities or the groups that are perpetrating this anti-economic act, you see, already have it at their disposal. Right? Because those assets, some of them are supposed to have been decommissioned.
Oh, and they have not.
And they have not been decommissioned. You see, by decommissioning, it also provides for a great deal of strategic re-engineering of the architecture of those facilities.
Now, my next question is, why is it difficult for government to address some of these infractions? Especially, not quite long, we saw, huge ship, they set it ablaze. A few days ago, we saw another one. Why is it difficult for government, for our security operatives? We have NIMASA, right? They also have their, maritime police or whatever they call. Then we have the Navy. Why is stealing persisting? You've been in the Gulf of Guinea for a long time.
Yeah, basically, there are serious economic implications to carrying out the decommissioning exercise.
Okay.
It's a huge economics that averagely, not every company wants to go into the discussion.
Is it because it has not vested interest or what?
No. It's because it has not been in place as part of the contractual agreement.
Okay.
For most of these operations. So should you want to bring it in now, it's as if you are trying to smuggle in, something that have a great deal of economic sensitivity for most of these.
But contractual agreements, Doctor, operators are not cast in stone. If something does not suit you,
yeah,
you have the right to pull out of an agreement and then go into another. We are talking about economic sabotage. That Nigeria, we can't even fill our quota, right?
Yes.
In exploration. So, as an expert in this area, what is the way out? Because
that is why we have governments.
Okay.
That is why we have regimes. And that is the beauty of democracy.
Yeah.
That is why we say no to military invasions.
Yeah.
Because democracy brings one administration, and after its tenure elapses, another one comes.
So what do you think, Tinubu, if other administrations since the 70s, because we know that these infractions have been there for a very long time. We grew up, we read about the crisis in the Niger Delta. We saw the intervention by late President Adwa. He took amnesty there, but it's like things are now going back gradually to
No, we are not going to get to that position because the current president we have is a sensitive president to issues. But however, I want to say something here.
Yeah, go ahead.
You see, if the other administrations were perhaps unable to fix some of these issues for limitations that are left known to the government, then it gives another administration
another
opportunity to decide to say, yes, we want to look into this matter. How can we get the multinationals, the LOCs and the IOCs, the local oil companies and the international oil companies? Because if you look at the new governance structure of the oil and gas industry, it has given a very key role to local oil companies as well, indigenous operators, whom have been found capable of also participating in the space. So what we are now saying is that the government can decide to say, yes, today we are ready to see how we can reinvigorate, change some of these policies so that it will be there for everybody to follow.
Yes.
However, you asked a question about why is it that we have the Maritime Administration, we have other key, strategic national security and national economic agencies of the Nigerian government, in place, and we're still having these infractions. You see, it's a whole gamut of solutions.
Are they working in cohorts, maybe? Because if everyone is working independently, meaning they should be able to checkmate one another in such a way that it will be very difficult for all these infractions to keep
They are not
happening.
necessarily working in cahoots, but this is what is going on. I like to see things from the perspective of solution-driven
go ahead.
Conversation. This is what I feel is going on. And just like I have said in my introductory statement,
yes,
you see, global economies have moved away from relying on their primary sector of economy. We've discussed the secondary sector here.
Yeah.
We've discussed the tertiary sector here. We've discussed the quaternary sector here.
Yes.
So now, that's the knowledge, technology, knowledge.
So you are now saying that
there is a gap.
There is knowledge gap here in Nigeria.
There is massive technological gap.
Okay.
Because, you see, the major infrastructures required to secure
yes,
the territorial waters, the exclusive economic area of a nation, especially of the Nigerian owns, maritime domain, is huge. And there is a great deal of requirement for integration.
But why is it difficult? Because I saw a video.
Yes.
I saw a video of how Saudi Arabia is actually monitoring every drop of, crude. Yeah, brought out from the underground. Yeah, they monitor it.
Yes.
Even from the comfort of a room. And I was privileged also to see something different in Saudi Arabia outside the oil sector,
Okay.
Yes, I was there as a guest, and it was marvel, because like around the haram,
yes,
they see every single person.
Yes.
When you touch somebody's shoe,
yes,
before you know it, they will get you.
Okay.
So the way they got that correctly, that is what they are also doing to their oil
industry.
Yes. Why is it difficult for Nigeria to also have similar investment in the oil sector?
Because of gap. You see, we must begin to deploy the quaternary sector of our economy.
Which is actually the technology you are talking about, knowledge.
Knowledge.
Yeah.
In order to deal with problems related to the tertiary sector of our economy.
Okay.
We need to deploy the quaternary sector of our economy in order to deal with problems around the secondary sector of our economy.
Okay.
I used to recall that history have it clearly that during the colonial era, the river Niger, the arteries
yes,
of river Niger that connect to Yauri, right?
Yeah.
Are normally used to move agro commodities through the Kainji Dam of river Niger, right?
Yeah.
Then it comes over to areas like Jebba, where they have the colonial rail infrastructure.
Yes.
These commodities would be transferred on the train and is heading straight to our seaport of Lagos.
Yeah, the Atlantic Ocean.
The colonial administration used this to feed their own
economy. Yeah.
So you can now see that there is the requirement.
There's a disconnect.
There is a disconnection, there is a gap, and there is a requirement for synergy and collaboration. The same synergy and collaboration that is required in dealing with the security gaps.
I see.
In the Gulf of Guinea.
Yeah.
In the areas where these oil explorations are happening. So essentially, you see, we require massive energy. And having the right people with the right competencies, with the right mindset
to drive the process,
to drive and deliver on where these individual industries should be and within a timeline.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So you would begin to see that the energy would have put into blaming, oh, is this agency, no, is that person, oh, is this. We don't really need that. But at times, for the purpose of policy making, policy implementation, policy legislation, and policy review.
Yes.
We need the history of how we've started
for us to get it right.
What happened?
Now, how do you think President Bola Tinubu will now have this synergy? If you look at the tax sector, for instance,
yes.
we heard that they are planning to reduce, multiple taxes from over 50, to 10. The latest story we had, I think yesterday or thereabout, was even maybe revenue collection agencies. They are streamlining them to just allow federal inland revenue. They are going to remove NIMASA. They are going to remove customs. There are quite a number. Many of them. Yes. They will now vest that responsibility with federal inland revenue service. Now, in the oil sector, that is your area of expertise. We have upstream, we have downstream, we have quite a number of, even
agencies. Midstream also.
Yeah, exactly. So, what do you think the President Tinubu-led government will do so that Nigerians will now, for once, have this feeling that God has blessed us with oil and we are deriving benefit from it? Because the way people are buying it now, with the removal of subsidy in US, in UK, that is how Nigerians are buying it. And they don't even have the purchasing power to buy it. What should President Tinubu do? Okay,
I'll approach this in two perspectives.
Okay, quickly, yeah.
In the perspective of the purchasing power, and also in the perspective of moving all the revenue collection to FIRS. Should we decide?
I want you to now, we understand that one, but I want, what should they do for the oil and gas sector?
Okay, yeah. You see, should we move most of this revenue collection to the FIRS? It means FIRS will require capacity expansion.
Yeah,
that's because it's an area that possibly they don't have the expertise to handle. So there will be a serious and quick requirement to upgrade their capacity. So you're now saying the same thing should be to the oil sector? Yes, the same thing could happen to the oil sector for the possibility of achieving transparency and prudence in the collection process. However, the same capacity would be required. So meaning that FIRS would need to have capacity for the oil and gas industry, capacity for maritime revenue collection, capacity for others. But however, you remember before now there wasn't TSA, Treasury Single Account. And we saw what ensued in the maritime sector, where one of the organization that was supposed to be involved in supporting the government operations was responsible for collection of revenue. And government later have issues with them because they couldn't want to relinquish that responsibility, just like that. But they had to, because they realized that a new dawn has come, a new government has come. Again, the beauty of democracy. So the government of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu also could bring some new dawn into how some of these revenue collections are further done. So it will increase the transparency and the prudence in the collection. However, on the purchasing power, you see, currently Nigeria is faced with two challenges on issue of subsidy. You see, the subsidy is unhealthy for an economy that wants to grow. So it must go. And it is gone with the help and the courage of the current commander-in-chief. So right now, we now have the monetary aspect. Right? The monetary aspect is how do this foreign exchange, because remember we import this crude oil. So, and should the dollar continue to grow up, not against our own naira, heading downwards south, the meaning of that is that by the time a new purchase of crude of PMS is made, you are likely going to buy PMS higher at the pump station than you are even buying it now. So now you can see that is a macroeconomics that is not within the internal control, except if government decide to sort of regulate the dollar,
which they don't want to.
The government don't want to, but a degree of regulation would have to come in here in order to stop the arbitrage and the rate at which the
naira is losing its
value on the global stage.
So on a final note now, what should government do, in the immediate to save Nigerians from the difficulty they are going through? This should be in less than 1 minute.
Any of the refinery that have the possibility of being fixed within the shortest possible time,
they should do that.
Let's do that. Let's see how the Dangote refinery can quickly come on stream.
Yeah.
Let's do that. Then when the Dangote refinery comes on stream, any of the refinery that is available quickly is on stream. There are various options that the government can have on the table that can drastically bring down the cost.
Mention just one before we round up.
Yes.
Is it
the crude oil is owned by the Nigerian government.
Okay, fine.
So it's a tool number one that could be used.
It can give any of the refineries to say that, okay, we are giving you maybe at a discount so that the end product will
the impact will now be translated on the common man.
All right. Thank you very much, Dr. Mubarak Ibrahim Mahmoud, an expert in maritime, port, oil and gas exploration. We thank you for coming to the program.
Thank you very much for having me.
And viewers, that's a wrap on today's package. We sincerely hope you found the conversation engaging and informative. And be sure to join Daily Politics Live, airing every weekday, and also our special package on Friday, during which we open our telephone line for you to comment on national issues. Once again, we thank you for watching. I'm Hamza Idris.